and I couldn't get it to upload. So I figured I would just come online and do a quick live, and then that way you guys would have it. And if I can get the original to upload, wonderful. And if I can't, at least you guys have this. So before we get started, guys, important to let you know that everything in this video, of course, is alleged. We're going to be talking the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Andy Cohen's reaction to Ramona accidentally leaking the wedding invitations, talk a little bit about Melissa and Joe and their relationship with Teresa and Louis right now. But before we get started, guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on so you're not missing anything, because you never know, just like now I'm going live, what we could be talking about. Definitely going to be talking about Atlanta too, just not necessarily in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. We see the Giudice, well, I'm sorry, Teresa and Louis and Melissa and Joe at the MTV Music Awards. They are like sat together at a four-top. Not sure if you guys saw Melissa and Teresa actually, you know, gave an award away and they were joking together. Hey, Chocolate, just talking New Jersey today. I couldn't get my video to load, so I figured I would just come on live and do it that way. We saw, like, from people's stories, Bethany Frankel being one of them and Crystal from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they each had posted some stories from behind the scenes at the MTV Music Awards, and we saw Melissa and Teresa, they were seated together with their husbands, and it seemed like everyone is getting along, right? The last time, you know, every time we hear from Melissa and Joe, really when they're making the headlines, it's usually because of something that they've said about Teresa. It's been really negative in the past couple of months when Joe went on, you know, Melissa's podcast and spoke about how they should be thanking Melissa and Joe for the 3-part series that they did while Teresa was in prison, because it put food on the table, it kept the girls in a roof over their head. So we've just seen a lot of back and forth between Melissa, Joe, and Teresa. And we understand that production has to kind of keep a little bit of drama going. The one thing, though, we have to talk about is the fact that these wedding invitations were accidentally revealed by Ramona. So Teresa was, I mean, it seems like she's invited all of the women from all of the franchises. Really, I think that's really beautiful because it's kind of showing some camaraderie and bringing all of the women from all of the franchises together. I'm not sure if it's just women she was on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls trip that she's including, but we are seeing women from other franchises. So I love that. She sent out beautiful invitations. Ramona was so touched by the invitation that she thought it would be wonderful if she shared it online, which we all know ended up releasing the venue, the date, the time, the location. And that raises a couple of problems, okay? Number one, we know that Dina is going to be the matron of honor, and she had the home invasion take place. They were living in California. They came home to film with Teresa and Juicy Joe for Adriana's. It was something in her confirmation or first communion. So that's how they went home to their New Jersey home, and they were met with basically, you know, 2 people who blindfolded them, zip tied them, and, you know, robbed them. So I think Dina's a little bit nervous, and we've kind of been hearing this through the grapevine from a bunch of different sources, that part of her agreeing to be Teresa's matron of honor was that people from the Manzo family, if you will, or associates wouldn't be privy to a lot of the information of the events, like the times and the dates and the locations, okay? I wanted to give you guys the outside beauty today. It's so beautiful where I'm at. Of course, loud motorcycle. If the audio is not good on this, guys, just let me know and I'll get some headphones in. Okay, so Andy Cohen goes on Jeff Lewis, and he basically says that he found out, like everyone else, about the invitation being released, okay? And he says that as soon as he finds out, he texts Teresa Giudice and he says, "Oh my God." And she replies back, "I know, can you believe it? How low class." Now, first of all, I didn't think that Andy Cohen, thank you, Chocolate. I didn't think that Andy Cohen should be like outing Teresa Giudice for saying that it was a low class of Ramona, because she was probably speaking on heat of the moment. And thank you, Chocolate. Thank you for letting me know the audio is good. People always are fussing at me and I never know if it's good or bad. I thought it was rude of him to say that and really out Teresa, because maybe she was just stressed out and she's trying to plan a wedding, and you know they've been going back and forth with Bravo on whether they're going to film it, whether it's going to be a series, you know, this all this back and forth stuff, and then Ramona outs the entire name, you know, the location, the time, and all of that, and that serves as a problem because number one, paparazzi. If Teresa's not having this filmed and Bravo isn't going to be giving her a paycheck for it, then those photos will be worth money and her and Louis could sell the story to People magazine. That sounds like something she told him as a friend and he shouldn't have repeated it. I agree. You know, you're going to have paparazzi outside, you're going to have people taking photos, and then you want to keep those photos exclusive because if you go to People magazine, you go to OK magazine, and you want to do your wedding and get paid for the story, the more photos that are out of the event, the less money your photos and your story is going to be worth. So that's number one. Number two, whenever you have big time events like this at venues, a lot of times the people that work there don't even know who or what is going to be taking place. They just know it's a huge event, okay? They don't want people that work there, average, you know, servers, waiters, bartenders, whatever the case may be, trying to work this event if they know Teresa or, you know, are fans, whatever the case may be, right? I worked for a doctor's office that worked on like sometimes famous football players, and they would be listed on our schedule as a Jane Doe or John Doe. Like, we didn't even know who it was until they got there and came in the side door and they shuffled them into a side room. So they do the same thing with big venues like that when they have famous people and events taking place that they're trying to keep on the down low. So that's the second problem too. You know, if they want to sell the story, the pictures aren't going to be worth as much. If the paparazzi there taking them, we have the whole Dina security, the home invasion that took place the last time she came home and filmed with Teresa. Exactly, they sneak them in. Yeah, they don't even put the NFL players' names on the schedule. Because then Susie from radiology is going to try to make sure that she's down here, you know, working because her husband's a huge fan and she wants an autograph. She's going to try to catch him in the hallway. You know what I mean? I mean, people get crazy about famous people. So you can't be letting everyone in the world know the time and date and the venue of this huge event, okay? It's a big deal. I love Ramona. I posted a little clip of her. I don't love Ramona, but she's entertaining, if you will. I posted a little clip of her from this weekend at the Hamptons. She was drunk at the Bay talking about how beautiful it was, which it was very beautiful. But have you guys noticed Ramona's eyebrows? Now, I'm not trying to be hateful at all. She said that she got the microderma done on them, which is great. And every time we seen, Chocolate says, yep, we would get fired if approach them here at the hospital. Exactly. You can't approach famous people. Ramona is very annoying, Barbara. I agree with you. Her eyebrows, though, I have to talk about them because they are that bad. She said she got them microbladed. She was like on Instagram, which is fine. That's great. I love that for her. But when people were reposting it, sorry, I'm trying to get my camera right. When people were reposting it, I thought they were making them worse than they were. Damn it. Sorry, my effing camera. I thought they were making them worse than they were on purpose. Okay, I thought that they were like taking it and making it look worse than it was. And then I realized that that's not the case. They really are that bad. And I don't know who did them. And that's fine and dandy that, you know, you got them done. And she shouted out her, you know, esthetician. They look so, like, pointed inward, right? Like I said, all of the memes and, like, photos and stuff that people had posted of her and her eyebrows, I thought they were just, like, making fun of her. And they had, like, photoshopped the eyebrows to look, you know, looks the way they look. And then I realized in her stories on her Instagram, no, that's how the lady microdermablazed her eyebrows. Either that or she got Botox before letting one or the other settle, okay? Because they are like this, and it is not good. And I would almost like to, like, message her daughter and be like, Avery, I don't know you, but I need you to please take your mother aside and be honest with her and let her know and take her to go get them fixed because they are seriously that bad. And she thinks she is hot shit, okay? She really does. She's like gardening and watering and planting grass and, you know, being Betty Homemaker, and her eyebrows are scary. They're so scary. Okay, anyways, back to Melissa and Joe. I just had to say that. Melissa, Joe, and Teresa. So we still don't know if we're going to see the wedding. Andy Cohen basically outs his conversation with Teresa. He says he then messages Ramona and she texts back, "Oh my God, Andy." And then she calls him, which doesn't surprise me at all. Then we have to talk about the fact that Tamara says that she ran into Teresa doing press at the MTV Music Awards, okay? If you guys didn't know, Teresa got mad at Tamara for talking bad about Louis. Tamara basically said he was like Brooks, and Brooks like pretended to have cancer, okay? So that's not a good thing, right? That's not a good thing to have your fiance compared to Brooks, who faked cancer, okay? She got mad and she unfollowed Tamara, right? And I think she made a comment somewhere along the line. So when they were doing press for the MTV Music Awards, Tamara said that, of course, she was like right behind, Tamara was right behind Teresa and Louis, right? She says they're doing press for like 45 minutes. Teresa doesn't say anything. And Louis ends up coming over, introducing himself to her, you know, saying hi, asking her how Eddie was. Hey, LA, just talking about Teresa and Joe and Tamara. So Louis asked Tamara, "How is Eddie doing?" And then he also asked about her son. And I found this a little strange, guys, because it's like, how do you know Tamara's family, Louis? Why do you know them like that? How do you know their names? Like, I feel like if you looked at Teresa and offered her $1 million to give you, Tamara's husband's name, I don't even think Teresa knows Tamara's husband's name, let alone the son's name. So that was a red flag to me, because I was like, oh yeah, Louis's got to be watching the show. He's got to be watching all of the franchises and trying to build up a rapport with these women, because then she says, he turns around, Tamara tells him, "Well, I'm so sorry. I kind of think, your fiance's upset with me." And he's like, "Oh no, Tamara, no, she's not upset." And then he's like, "Come here, Teresa. Come here. Tell Tamara you're not mad at her. Go on, tell her you're not mad at her." And I'm just not getting, this is not the same Teresa that we saw before. This is not the same Teresa that used to be with Juicy Joe, because if Juicy Joe and Teresa were doing press and Tamara had said something negative about Juicy Joe, and I mean, Teresa will be going at her, all claws out, right? "Hi, JoJo, so glad you could make it today." All claws out, right? And Juicy Joe would have been backing Teresa up 1,000%. Now, Louis, on the other hand, is it because he's trying to like meet these people and build a rapport with them? Does he do it because he wants Teresa to have a good professional relationship with these women? Does he not understand that the drama actually gives them attention, and sometimes it's a good thing for them not to get along? I don't know. But we also have the two T's in the pod are pissing some other people off from Bravo. Have you all heard? First of all, we know that we have our two favorite housewives from the Real Housewives of Potomac that do Reasonably Shady. That would be Gizelle Bryant and Robin Dixon. Now, they are pissed because Teddi, who cannot get off Instagram, Louis knows who Teresa is. Exactly. He does know who she is. And I think that maybe he has great intentions. He seems to always, talk forgiveness and gratitude and resentment. So maybe he's trying to take her a different route. It's just not the Teresa that we have seen in the past. That's all. Anyways, back to this Reasonably Shady podcast that Robin and Gizelle do from the Real Housewives of Potomac, and they're pissed at Teddi, not Tamara, okay? Because Teddi cannot get off Instagram. Teddi is like refusing, I don't even know if I want to say, she's like refusing to be canceled. Like, I don't ever see good comments about her. Tamara's tried to go to bat for her. I mean, she's literally went on Twitter and tweeted, like, "Give the lady a chance." He knows everyone he studies. I think he does too, JoJo. So Teddi posted I'll tell you exactly what she posted. Basically that, thank you iHeartRadio for letting us knuckleheads have our podcast. Who would have known that we would have ranked as the top most listened to Housewives podcast. That's what she said. So Gizelle did not like that at all. And her and Robin did their reasonably shady, and Gizelle, she threw some shade at more at Teddi, not so much Tamara. You know, she said she respected Tamara. She'd done 12 or 13 seasons, and she basically said, Teddi, you've been here like 5 minutes. Like, no, you know, I'm giving you shade for sure. That's definitely shade. You know, where are your statistics coming from? And of course, Robin just chimes in and says, oh, I think Teddy's doing it for attention. You know how Robin is. Where's she getting her numbers? We're going to have to get our own numbers to figure out who's the most listened to Housewives podcast, except for the fact that you guys aren't Housewives anymore. So you guys can't call yourself a Housewives podcast because neither of you are Housewives anymore. That's what she said. And she said, yes, I'm being shady. I love Gizelle. When they did the numbers, though, the numbers came back that iHeartRadio did rank out of 200, the 2 T's in a Pod podcast at 160. Now, you guys know that Teddi started the T's in a Pod podcast like 2 years ago, but it was only like Teddi in a Pod or Teddi's podcast, or it was very, very, it's like this same exact thing, but now they changed the name to 2 T's in a Pod, and it worked out perfectly because Tamara's name starts with a T, right? But they ranked 160 out of 200 on the iHeartRadio list of podcasts. The only thing is that the Reasonably Shady podcast had only gotten 1 episode in, basically, and 2 T's in a Pod had done 2 or 3. I just think it's so funny because I think Gizelle will eat Teddi, she'll eat Teddi up alive. Jay, I don't think anyone listened to either podcast. I agree with you. I think you got to be a pretty big podcast person or have a long commute to work or a long drive to pick your kids up from school to like listen to a podcast like that. You know what I mean? And Gizelle made another comment. She said, listen, neither one of them are housewives anymore. So yeah, of course they're going to have a good show because they're on there talking shit about all the other housewives, right? I just thought it was super, super funny that they are like pissing people off right and left, and they think it's so amazing. They think they're so great. And Teddi's going to be in for a real rude awakening whenever Tamara joins the Real Housewives of Orange County again. And I already feel like Teddi is planting this in viewers that she could potentially be a Real Housewives of Orange County because she owns a home in Orange County. And when she actually got hired, which this makes 0 sense, she said when she actually got hired for the Real Housewives that she had the option of going to Beverly Hills or Orange Counties, and she owns a home both places. But she doesn't really own a home in both places because her home is in Encino Valley. Gizelle and Robin can't talk about the show on the podcast because they're under contract. Exactly. So they're limited on their contact. Thank you for saying that. They're limited on their content. They can't even talk about the show that they're on. So that makes things a little bit more difficult. What was I getting at? Oh, Teddi has a home in Orange County, but she doesn't have one in Beverly Hills. So I think when producers cast people, they cast them for a specific franchise, specifically for the people in that franchise, right? They hand pick these women. I hope they're not back there going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Maybe they could be. I don't know. I think that they purposely cast women for certain franchises, women that's stronger in this suit, maybe weaker in another, and vice versa. So I don't think for 1 second that they casted Teddi Mellencamp and then said, okay, Teddi, do you want to be on the OC or do you want to be in Beverly Hills? Unless if she was a shoo-in in the first place, or she bought her way in, or her dad made some phone calls, or her dad's assistant was like, hey, Teddi, do you want me to get you on the Real Housewives of Orange County, or did you want me to get you on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Which one did you want to get on? Which one? Just tell mama. Just tell me. I'll get you there. That doesn't make any sense to me. So she's already planting it, though, in viewers' mind. She's planting the seed. I can roll with Orange County because I own a home there. And I'm rolling with Tamara. She's my main squeeze now. She even took you know, her to the MTV Music Awards. Yes, JoJo, thank you. Please hit some likes, guys. I would greatly appreciate it. She wants us to know that she's going to try to, she's definitely probably going to be a friend on the OC if they pay her. She said she's not doing any free filming for Bravo if they don't pay her. And that's why whenever the women went on the podcast and they filmed in La Quinta, Teddi was at Kyle's opening, right? But we didn't see her at all. And that's because she said, I'm not filming for Bravo unless I'm getting paid. Point blank, period. She was there as like Entertainment Tonight commentary to do the interviews with the women. And that leads us back to, of course, the whole Beverly Hills saga with Dorit being upset that Sutton didn't tell her that there was going to be press at her store opening. Like, if there was press at Kyle's store opening, wouldn't it be a good assumption that there's going to be press at someone's store opening? I mean, doesn't that make sense? Am I the only person that thinks that? Like, every single store opening, except for Dorit's window reveal, if you guys remember when she put her beachwear in, No One Likes Teddi, doesn't she know that? JoJo, it's like she refused to get canceled. The lady is refusing to get canceled, okay? If you guys remember when Dorit did her big reveal for her beachwear line, it was like an outside window. They just like had it covered with like brown paper and they tore it down, and it was like some mannequins wearing her Beverly Beach wear. Okay, so maybe Dorit's not familiar with store openings and how they work, but every store opening that I've seen on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has had hell of press there. So why, hey Alan, why would you think for 1 second that you were going to go to Sutton's store opening and there wasn't going to be any press there? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, guys, Andy Cohen also, while he's on the Jeff Lewis podcast, gets an opportunity. He's asked, like, what Housewives franchise would you have canceled and would you have kept? Like, what do you think some of the mistakes have been over the years? And he said that he doesn't regret canceling the Real Housewives of Miami, that the, you know, the ratings were low the last year and that the ratings were low at the reunion. And I thought about that for a second and I thought, you know what? Miami was ahead of its time. The Real Housewives of Miami was ahead of its time. Because Adriana, you know, do you guys remember all the feuding going on between Joanna and her husband? And, I mean, there was a lot going on. And the guy that filmed Girls Gone Wild, he was like, you know, on the show for a little bit. I think he's like wanted in America. He literally has like a federal warrant out for him. Wait, Miami is canceled again? Or you mean before? It's not canceled now. Jeff Lewis was talking to Andy Cohen about like what some of his you know, career moves have been. What would he do and what would he not do? I do love Miami, though, definitely ahead of its time originally. It really was, guys. If you guys remember that fight Adriana and JoJo had, and they were like running through the house, it was crazy. It was really good stuff. If you guys have not watched the first couple of seasons of the Real Housewives of Miami, you should, just because it's so good. You really don't need to, like, it doesn't really correlate with what we're watching now from the women. Barbara remembers Joanna. Brandy said something horrible about her on Watch What Happens Live. And, you know, I think that that partly left a bad taste in everyone's mouth when that happened, because, again, being ahead of its time, Joanna and Brandy were tiffing, if you will, over Mohammed. How was Dorita overly priced dresses for weddings sold? She sold them online in trunk shows. They had to be, oh yeah, that was a storyline of Joanna and her sister having dated Joe Francis in the past. To order the dresses, they had to be special ordered. You couldn't order them just like a random person, from what I know. I don't think so, because I went online and looked at them, and she was like she would sell them at like trunk shows, but they were private trunk shows, and they traveled internationally, and that was a little strange to me. Andy said if he was straight, he would be most attracted to Joanna. I love that, JoJo. That's hilarious. She was very, very beautiful. Yes, they started, her and Brandy from Beverly Hills started feuding over Mohammed, as in Mohammed, Yolanda's ex-husband, Mohammed, Gigi Hadid, and her sister's dad, okay? Mama Elsa, rest in peace, but scary. Ugh, yeah, I know. Scary. But Andy said he didn't regret canceling them. It's basically what he said. And I think it's because they were ahead of their time. And he didn't want to say that because technically Peacock has picked them back up. And I'm telling you guys, they're going to come back fire this season. Lisa getting divorced, I think, is going to make her the housewife that we always knew was inside of her to be. I think she just had to tone it down a little bit and try to be mindful and keep peace with her husband and her marriage. Alan said he's always had a crush on Mohammed. Mohammed, he's a mess. He really is a mess. He took over this canyon in Beverly. Well, it would be in the Hollywood Hills, actually. And it was, you weren't allowed to build on it. There was like a bunch of restrictions, basically. Ronald Richards is involved with this case, too. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out his Twitter. He starts building, and he starts building a multi-million-dollar home on in this canyon. And he didn't get the right permits. He just figured, F it, I'm going to start building it. What are they going to do? Make me take it down? Well, after years and years and years, Alan, after years and years and years of this, they made him tear it down. And it was like built into the hills. It was, you know, going to be $1 million probably billion-dollar estate, and he was forced to take it down. Now, a funny thing about Mohammed is I've mentioned to you guys about the blind items, the Hollywood Days and Nights blind items, the guy that's been doing this website for like 10 years, and he's like told us so much crazy stuff that's like came true with his blind items, but nobody knows who he is. He's always stayed private, and I told you guys to check out the Hollywood Days and Nights blind item about Diana Jenkins. I was surprised Lisa and her husband were still married when the show came back on. He lost about $20 million on that property. Yes, Alan, that makes about sense. There were some clips of Gigi doing Coca-Cola, if you will, behind the scenes at a party, right? There was a blind item from the person that writes the Hollywood Days and Night blind items, which like he's like pretty much famous at this point. And he alleges a story about how he's getting coffee in Beverly Hills and he is like in line behind Mohammed and Gigi, and they sit down, and of course, you know, the Hollywood Days and Nights guy just keeps typing away and sipping his coffee because nobody knows who he is. He's anonymous. And he says the conversation is not one that you think it would be between a father and a daughter if he found out that his daughter was, you know, doing illegal substances. And it was more of a conversation like, just don't get caught doing it. Don't get filmed doing it. Don't be messy about it. If you're going to do it, but don't be messy about it. Like, we all do it, basically. We all do it. It's fine. Everyone knows that we do it because everyone's doing it together, but we can't have it, like, out in the public eye, Gigi. Like, get your life together. You can't be getting so messed up that you are letting people film you, you know, doing it. Don't you guys remember when Bella got into that car accident? She got a DUI, and Yolanda put her on blast about her car being just a mess, and there was like dirty tampons and all kinds of, you know, empty beer cans and bottles and, you know, drug instruments all about. So yeah, guys, I don't know. I just wanted to hop on and tell you a couple of things about Teresa and this whole wedding and this whole, you know, Andy Cohen leaking the invitation. I can't wait for Real Housewives of Miami to come back. I'm sorry I have to cut this kind of short, but I have an interview in about 10 minutes. The very rich have lots of secrets. Yes, they do. LA. Yes, the women were on a boat. Yes, thank you for saying that. It's crazy, guys. We can talk about the whole Miami feud between Mohammed and Brandy and JoJo from, you know, if we want to in our next video. That's crazy because they claim they grew up very strict. I think Yolanda did. I don't think that she was into that sort of thing. And he probably did it, you know, behind her back. They probably worked a lot. Lisa also is like Erica with her glam squad. She needs to be knocked down a few pegs, start living with the less money. Hopefully she gets nothing from her divorce. I don't care who's doing. I would never convince my child to do. No, or give them a okay. Thank you, JoJo. I need it. I've had a rough week, I told you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and log off, get on my Zoom meeting. Wish me luck, guys. And we will talk soon because I have more tea to talk about, guys. I have a whole tablet of tea. I just got to get the videos up for you. Bye, guys.